Hello everyone and welcome to my reaction to Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 231. This is a very early chapter release. It's still Wednesday. I wasn't expecting to get this until, I don't know, afternoon tomorrow or something. It's storming quite loudly outside. I wouldn't be shocked if my mic's able to pick it up. Perhaps that's an omen for the chapter. Who knows? But before we get into that, as always, if you haven't already, definitely be sure to like and subscribe. I'd like to try and hit at least 100 likes on this week's reaction. Now then, without any further ado, let's get right into this week's chapter, shall we? So, now that domain expansions are impossible, this is going to go back to being kind of a melee fight. Obviously, Sukuna still needs to be using domain amplification now, otherwise he can't really hit Gojo. Unless the damage to his brain is preventing Gojo from using Infinity. Who knows? Maybe both of them are having trouble using their techniques. So it's just going to be a pure battle of cursed energy. That's a possibility, I guess. I know a lot of people also think we may be seeing some maximums come out, if Gege hasn't forgotten about them, which I doubt. Gege doesn't really seem to forget things too much. I hope we get to see a Black Flash this fight. That would be nice. But let's see here. Who here has ever been seriously punched by Gojo? That's a good question, Kusakabe. Sudden admission. I've seriously punched him before. Didn't end up touching him, though. A lot of people want to hit Gojo. If by seriously punched, you mean taking a blow from his limitless technique, then I have. Same here. What kind of training did Gojo put you two through? You know, once you got stronger. Were you guys fighting him? His fist is enhanced with cursed energy, and on the moment of impact, blue repeatedly absorbs the surrounding space. It isn't just stronger. It feels like you've been clocked by a counterattack after preparing for a regular blow. It's the absolute worst. Yeah, space manipulation. Like, manipulating the distance between things is really good for physical attacks. Really good for impact. Did it hurt? It made me puke. That's really funny. Oh, my face when I have to go fight Sukuna after Gojo. Nanami said something about that too. Ooh, flashback with Nanami. You'll love to see it. What are we building up to for this chapter? Is this just building off of the punch Sukuna took at the end of last chapter? Or, like, is he gonna get hit really hard this chapter? If you intend on continuing as a sorcerer, make a point not to compare yourself to Gojo. That man is able to produce critical hits as if they're your run-of-the-mill jab, while I struggle to perform them in the first place. To put it bluntly, he can't be kept up with. True. What I'm trying to say is that from here on out, I don't have a clue what Gojo's doing, so don't ask. That was a good time for that, Thunder. So it seems Gojo has grabbed Sukuna. He's dragging him along the side of a building. He's running along the side of a building, and then he stops and throws him. Sukuna skids along the ground, I think? Yeah. And then Gojo clenches his fist, and a bunch of the rubble crushes around Sukuna. Okay, so he is still able to use his techniques. He just can't do a domain. Sukuna breaks out. He still has the wheel for Maharag out, by the way, so he is still probably going to be adapting to stuff. Gojo throws a kick that he ducks underneath, and he's probably going to go for a follow-up, but then he notices something. Kick coming down on his head, which he just Oh, I see what he did. He just continued the kick. He missed, but then he just kept spinning. Unless the first kick was a feint just to build up momentum. Who knows? But that wheel, I do believe it's probably still spinning. As he goes for a... What the fuck is Gojo? Whoa, Jesus. It looks like he's gonna go for a kick of his own, but now he's being surrounded by after images of Gojo? Are these after images? Gotcha. Whoopsie! He blocks Sukuna's punch, and he actually gets pushed back. So, yeah, still using a domain amplification. Yeah, that struck his hand. So, Sukuna's using domain amplification, or Gojo turned off Limitless, which I kind of doubt. Gojo catches himself on a streetlight, flips up to be standing on top of it. He's crouched there now. Nice little panel here showing off these two. The godlike gremlin that is Gojo. Sukuna, what are you thinking right now? Your face is getting all shaded. The word treasure, used in the chant to manifest Maharaga, along with that wheel, represents complete circulation and harmony. Once Maharaga has been attacked, the wheel turns, starting the adaptation. And that's what it's doing now. The wheel's turning? Did he adapt? When he uses domain amplification to touch me, the wheel turns black. It's safe to assume that it interrupts any adaptation process. So he can't activate his domain, but he can use amplification. Probably because the area of his brain I hit was in charge of barrier techniques. In order to avoid the adaptation, he isn't using anything aside from his curse technique Lapse. Well, that's to be expected. The light turns green. They rush past each other. Gojo forms a fist, and he pulls the streetlight down towards Sukuna, but Sukuna just grabs it, chucks it at Gojo, and it stops right before it can hit him. He isn't bringing out Maharaga. I suppose this means it's adapted to Unlimited Void 5 times. Does that mean it needs to turn several times in order to adapt to Gojo's Limitless techniques? It's possible, considering how little regard those two have for what's impossible. You paying attention? You need 4 spins total, yeah? That leaves 3 more. So you've been counting. 3 more spins of the wheel until Maharaga adapts to my infinity. Well, we can't let that happen. That would be bad. Everyone's shocked. Just 3 spins left. Looks like we have ourselves a countdown to when that smirk will be wiped off your face, that is. Right back at you. That's terrible. That's one of the worst faces you've ever made, Gojo. That is horrible. What a forced smile. I'll beat you dead before you even hit 3 spins. Now that's a good smile from Gojo. And Sukuna's excited as well. He hasn't forgotten about Megumi, has he? He might have. It's fine. Let him forget. That's not fine! The deadly countdown begins. And of course, as is per usual, we're on break next week. Well, that was a pretty good chapter. Not the sort of insane thing I'd love to have a very loud thunderstorm accompanying, but still pretty good nonetheless. I know some people were complaining about the domain spam, but it's a good thing to see here that the fights just sort of turned more into just big choreography. Just a big, rather over-the-top fisticuffs fight with some curse techniques thrown in. Obviously, it makes sense that Sukuna's not really using any of his techniques because he's got to use domain amplification. And yeah, we're definitely entering the phase of things in which it's like, yeah, if you weren't certain of it last chapter, Gojo does beat original Sukuna. He does. Because now we've reached the point where he's relying on 10 Shadows. He's relying on Maharaga now. So, what can I say, folks? It's confirmed. You can make all the arguments you want about this Sukuna. The outcome of the fight's going to decide who is stronger. I'm not going to be shocked if Sukuna wins. obviously, it's going to be kind of like, ooh, that's not great. Though, he probably should win so that Kashimo then shows up and fights him. Because, Kashimo's got to fight him. Kashimo's a lot weaker than Gojo. I'm not even going to bother saying presumably regardless of whatever his technique is. He's not Gojo. But he'll probably be, like, top tier when he uses his technique. We have to see that at some point. So, I think the most likely outcome here is that Gojo is defeated, but before Sukuna can deal a death blow, that's when the other people are going to show up. It proves that Gojo is superior to original Sukuna, but he's just... Wow, that's a long one, man. Fuck. Megumi Sukuna's just got too many hacks abilities. He's just too cracked. But I do like that he's not just, a complete universe above even Gojo. We still have the power ceiling here, and it's these two guys. No one can get stronger than these two unless Kenjaku, merges with the super merger curse or something. If that happens, that's really the only thing I could imagine. Or, if Sukuna gets reduced back to, a curse and is in a weakened state that that Kenjaku can then absorb, maybe then I could see it. But, for the most part, these two men, they are the peak. And who will be the peak? Well, I guess we're just going to have to wait around a little longer to find out. But with that, that's all I got for this week's reaction. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Jujutsu Kaisen with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.